AZOPALIX 8 Part 2. And I used to sometimes say, notes to myself in the one mind, kind of being cute, but now I think you can understand. If you heard AZOPALIX Part 1, 8 Part 2, you know what I mean. And you know these are kind of fresh insights because I'm scrambling all over. Mike, were you taking notes? One mind, did you get any of that? And so I'll have to listen back. Anybody else caught up in this brainstorm? We should be all up in each other's heads because we're coming to a place where we are trying to bring the one mind together and yet hold on to our various perspectives. See, it's a brand new place. A lot of people are like, yeah, we don't even know what it's going to look like. I've been glimpsing what happens after we break through all this. I've been glimpsing it. Most people can't imagine it because everything happening at once. That is what's going on, but we can't perceive it. Like right now, as I'm speaking to you, there's 8 billion lives, not to mention everybody up in those UFOs from different planets, all whose civilizations are all happening right now at this very same moment. So what the hell makes Earth special like that? Hey man, the whole thing is kind of beyond imagination, and yet it's like, well, what if we were trying to get 8 billion, not 8 billion, representing infinity to all of us, simultaneous, have a common ground of manifestation and coming into being. And if we were all going to do it all at once, it'd be craziness. That's why there's sequence, but it's not why. It's not like somebody figured this out and then said, this is how we're going to do it. Although at a certain point, that is what happens. The same way. Put yourself as the cosmos, as I was trying to mention. The fun part is that all these, now we're at a place, we're in the singularity. I don't like to call it singularity because it breaks through to something else, but it also does come to like a point where everything's on happening at the same. It's always been, but now we're in a place of perceiving it that way, and the information coming together. AI represents all of our gathered information and extrapolations. But one thing you got to remember about AI, it's not connected to the real world. It's connected to an electronic world. And people that suggest that this world is a simulation, I finally remembered the name that I keep forgetting. Simulation? You got to be so in your screen to think that the real world is a simulation. Caught up in the alternate universe created by economics. You don't have to go mathematically multidimensional or physics to see the alternative universe created by our culture. And you get people thinking the real world is a simulation. Have you gone into the woods lately, person who thinks it's a simulation? Can you really sit there and absorb the sunlight and everything else just within your own body? All you're looking at is what you're seeing and thinking. That's the only way you can imagine it as a simulation, because there's more than, somebody said, 35 senses. I don't know what they're talking about, but you have a lot of different sensory input from your own body, way beyond what people are calling five. Whether you're feeling ate the right food. You have strange body instincts that tell you what would be the next thing you want to eat. It's all mixed up with what you know. You don't necessarily come upon like a random previously unknown thing. Should I eat that? Although maybe if you're good as a shaman. See how sideways I can get? My sister made that comment. She says, Mike, you're making, yeah, I'm bouncing everywhere because that's what's happening, is the coming together, and we're getting all these perspectives. And the one that seems to be the oddball on this one is the Christian one, because they're locked into the word. And that's not really where Christ was coming from on that. That's why you get that simplification with Christ. But the idea of a chosen one, I mentioned it briefly to say Jehovah's a real force. But you don't have to know the details or understand that. But I'm trying to get to, as a planet healer, did I mention this? Yeah, I got a lot of clarification of what I already knew when somebody came, and the first thing they said to me is, hey, I channel American Indian medicine man, and he wants to tell you something, that you're a planet healer and you don't get women. By the time I was 50 years old, I knew about both parts of that. Don't get, not because I'm not in. I see that going sideways from my main mission of planet healing, and that got verbally, explicitly. That's the current relationship that I'm in right now. I'm kind of auxiliary to a household of someone that I might have married, and she's kind of resents the fact that I'm more concerned about planet healing than the family. She's got other friends that are helping her raise her two kids. We're great friends. She's awesome, holding it together. But my point, all of us are caught in little versions of what's happening on a big scale. And it looks like we've got a calendar that's laying it out as if nothing happened. My cousin, my nephew, my sister's kids kind of mocked me. Don't mock me, man. Yeah, Generation Z. You want to mock your elders? As if you guys have a clue. Growing up online like that. And yet, we need you kids, man. We need that fresh energy that sees the world as like an opportunity of newness. Not how do we keep our nose clean and serve the boss. And that's the now on the other hand, you got to serve the boss in the context of systems that have integrity and pedigree. Things come, and if we pull it all together, then you have the reason to respect your elders coming from even the Christian, the right wing. And then the left wing is like, no, fresh newness. All of this comes together. Yeah. It comes together conceptually, if you, I guess, can explain it. But then it comes together on the ground, whether you get it or not. And if you don't get it, you're going to be caught up in the conflicts. And we have a conflict everywhere, I guess, if you're caught up in it. But if you see it, you can see how it's breaking into like fresh potential new ground. And do I want to bring it practical right now in the middle of this one? Disclosure forces us to accept that it's a big cosmos, and also to look at our global civilization in the context of as a global civilization. And what do we have? Well, a lot of infighting. How can we bring it to the next place? We got to. Where's all the infighting come from? It's resource based essentially, and then it's within each economy, each national economy, you have all this meritocracy, whatever they believe in. It ends up being a materialist uh, organizational structure, which is really cold hearted and ugly, really, and it goes towards the bureaucratic nightmare that Kafka envisioned and what the right wing fears. A government that just makes us numbers. That's already happening. All these things are already happening. But none of that is, each one of us represents a potential focal point of both action and appreciation. And so how can we break horizontally into the now? In other words, today, how do I reach all these people? Because we're all going through the same thing, yet we're locked into all this routine. And there's, you want to try to reach people on social media, but then everybody's got to go to work. Or so the thing on social media is now you can buy this cool product, or you can listen to this new cool rap, and you're still stuck in the, see how it comes back to economics. No matter what you believe. This is not to put down any of the things that people want to share as far as information. So, but we have an opportunity, and economics kind of represents the fact that the material cosmos is more detailed than any of our understandings. It's beyond our own understanding, and it kind of reminds us that we don't even understand ourselves that well yet. It's a coming into understanding. Although at a certain point early on, you get the flash of like, hey, I can do what I kind of want to some extent within the context of what I got. But what you got is what you got. I mean, but what you got comes from livity. Now you can take it back. As I say, you start with yourself as the beginning of the cosmos, and you bring it back a little more, and you got a mom and a dad. Okay. You bring it back a little more, and there's the community. But now you're going abstract. The community is the tribe. And I'm saying it's there in the one mind that the Buddhists see, but that has to get differentiated into individuals. And is it possible to be in the one mind without being? Yeah, we're all there. We were all there. I have cast my own memory back previous to becoming an individual, and it feels like you're part of a river, but you can't be the whole river. You're just the section that you're looking at. But you don't know where your boundary ends. So that goes just kind of whooshes by, and you're like, what? What was that? And then before long, you forget you were there, and then you remember again. It's like, wait a minute, what was that? And then you, what? Zing. And I say that's the experience of the quantum potentiality field. Is that what we're calling it? I let's call it burbles. They call it something else. And then you can measure that. You try to like create vacuum, and you get particles popping in and out, popping in, back out. What the hell was that? What was that? You can call it energy. I'm showing you that. You can call it energy, but what is energy? And now we know we're energy. But what is that? Well, the Tibetans just got cold-blooded and said, emptiness. We're nothing, but we know we're here. So there's that. And then I'm tired of thinking about this. I'm going to go take a nap. And then you wake up and say, oh, fuck, I'm still here. I had to throw that in there, or I wouldn't be from New York. We're still here, MF. So there's the energy ever arising. It's like, where's this all going? Well, if you just leave it to the Buddhites, it's like, well, I don't know. Here we are. The Tibetans could figured out how to do the rainbow body death meditation, where they pretty much were able to just walk into the astral dimension consciously. But that still didn't take, and then, but their school says, Dzogchen, the great perfection. But you know what they say about that? First of all, it sounds so simple. Everybody thinks they're getting it, but nobody's getting it really. And they say 1 in 100 thinks they're getting it. And then out of those, maybe 1 out of 100. So you're talking 1 out of 1,000 that possibly gets it. But that's being pretty harsh. Buddhites are harsh. Because it's discipline and focus. And you can't believe what you're seeing, that the material actually bends towards really intensely focused and grounded consciousness. Now, in today's world, all of us have a million voices in our heads. Everybody judging you from school all the way, your parents all the way, and yourself now all the way. And I got the 5D people, and I'm looking at this Gnosis group, and they're all judging each other. Everything's so ego, yeah. Okay, well, the Buddhites can explain how to get over that one, but don't give it up completely, because you have to understand who you are. The Jehovites is about healthy ego and understanding your responsibility to be the love that you can't do that without an ego. You have to have a loving ego, though. It's an ego that understands humility and also grandeur and joyousness and connection to community. I'm saying to the Christians, Jehovah's a real being. You think he wants to stay on a pedestal? That's a lonely place. No, he's not. That's not where he is, because he's God, Sophia, and the whole spirit dimension. I think should acknowledge. I don't think he cares that much if they acknowledge him or not, because up in the one mind, we're all one mind big. That's how big we are. That's how big we are. Yeah, but the cosmos isn't our baby the way that what happened with Jehovah and Sophia. And we're caught up in it, because once that happens, you don't want another one next to it. Maybe it happens somewhere else, scientists. Who cares? It doesn't matter. I don't think there is another cosmos, because where in emptiness would you divide this all up? And infinity is instantaneous. So you have that three-sided paradox that I say brought it into being, some kind of a breakthrough of acknowledgement that it's just not just, what was that? It's like, that was me. That was me looking at that. I'm sorry, did I shout again? Some kind of a gut, but it's on a visceral level. Boom. Now, is that a mathematical possibility? Energies pop and come back, and if they're just 2 popping, but if it's a 3 pop and then 2 of them come, you got to come right back. That's all the energy we got. We're coming back. Yikes! And then this is 1/3 of nothing, and the other. If they don't exactly come back together, it doesn't dissipate completely. And and so it becomes a spin. There's a materialist explanation for that. But what were those points that created, what was those particles? What was those focuses of thing that separated out? That's the mystery. We still have mystery. The material plane makes it clear there's mystery, all the fractal mysteries, but that doesn't mean the whole thing is incomprehensible or scary. And from every school, they try to make it scary. From the Buddhist school, oh my God, if you don't get over your ego, you're going to feel all the pain. From the Jehovahite school, you better follow the rules or you're going to feel all the pain. And from the materialist school, we don't solve this, we're all going down and we all suck anyway. What the fuck? I'm running out of time. But you know what I'm saying? Whereas you bring them all together and it says, look, it makes sense that we're at the edge of time, which means all the worst, ugly shit like the Epstein files and all the fascists, but we're going to solve it Jehovahite style.